and welcome to your weekly briefing on SWBN News Watch. I am Chimila Chike. Thanks for joining us tonight. Our first story is an update on the brutal murder of DEBORAH Samuel. Over a year ago, a Nigerian Christian female student was burned to death over alleged blasphemy in Sokoto State. Two suspects who were arrested for the murder of 19-year-old DEBORAH Samuel have now been discharged and acquitted. In a recent development, the Nigeria Police Force Sokoto State Command admitted that the two suspects who were charged to court for inciting and disturbance had been exonerated. The command told Sahara reporters that it is not the fault of the police if the court exonerated the suspects, saying the police had, quote, done its own part. Recall that on May 12 last year, mobs attacked DEBORAH Samuel, setting her ablaze over a WhatsApp comment that criticized the religion-related post that Muslim classmates discussed in the study group she believed should have been reserved for academic purposes. A few days later, a magistrate court sitting in Sokoto State remanded the two suspects, Biliyaminu Aliyu and Aminu Okunsi, who were arrested in connection to her murder. During the court proceedings, the suspects pleaded not guilty to the murder of the deceased. They were subsequently discharged and acquitted by the court. Speaking on the incident, the police spokesperson explained that the two suspects were charged to court over a bailable offense, and the court decided to release them. In his words, and I quote, "That is none of our business. We have done our own part." Meanwhile, court documents revealed how the suspected killers of DEBORAH Samuel were freed after the Nigerian police prosecutors failed to show up in court. In a 5-page court judgment delivered on January 30th this year, the Chief Magistrate Shuaibu Ahmad set the suspects free over the absence of the police prosecution during a series of hearings. The charges against them, criminal conspiracy and inciting public disturbance, should have carried a maximum of 2-year jail term upon conviction. However, let us know your thoughts on this very story. Stay with us for our next update. Still in Nigeria, multiple local media reported that on the 1st of July, gunmen attacked a Redeemed Christian Church of God RCCG parish in Ogun State, killing the pastor and abducting 7 worshippers. Channels TV reported that the Ogun State government security-owned outfit, the Social Orientation and Safety Corps, SoSafe, intervened in the situation when they received a distress call that the RCCG parish at Abule Ori in Obafemi Owode local government area of Ogun State was attacked during a vigil. In a statement confirming the incident, the SoSafe Corps commander, Soji Gonzalo, said the officers of the Corps rescued the 7 church members and killed one of the kidnappers during the operation. He also added that the joint team of the police and the SoSafe Corps coordinated the rescue efforts. Narrating the incident, Additional Ayeshagun, one of the pastors at the RCCG parish, explained that he was in church with other pastors and church members when some hoodlums, numbering about 7, invaded their church and attacked them with guns, cutlasses, and other dangerous weapons with intent to kidnap members. He also explained that the hoodlums were shooting sporadically, and as a result, 56-year-old Pastor Kayode Oluwakemi sustained bullet wounds on his chest and died on the spot. Meanwhile, the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, has condemned the attack as an assault on religious freedom in Nigeria. At the time of filing this report on Tuesday, the leadership of the Redeemed Christian Church of God were yet to make a public response. Please stay tuned for our next update. Thanks for staying with us until now. If you have any thoughts on our previous stories, let us know in the comments. Our next update is on religious freedom in China. Leaders of China's state-controlled official 3 self-churches has vowed to export a communist version of the Christian faith. Bitter Winter, a religious liberty web magazine, reported that the group's major task for the next few years is to, quote, change the face of world Christianity. According to Bitter Winters, the vision was approved during a training meeting for key pastors of the Northeast China Christian region held last month in Chuanchun, Jilin Province. Pastor Shan Weishen, Vice President and Chief Executive of the China Christian Council, and Pastor Cao Baoping, Vice Chairman of China Christian Thesis of Patriotic Movement Committee, delivered the keynote speeches. Pastor Cao Baoping explained that the Thesis of Church, which is the official government supervisory organ for Protestantism in the People's Republic of China, had one major task and two major problems. One, resisting external infiltration, and two, protecting the unity of Christians by resisting religious movements hostile to the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, and resisting heresies and illegal religion. Zhang Zhonghua, writing for Bitter Winter, remarked that the CCP is concerned that the Chinese three self-Christians may be exposed to different brands of Christianity where Jesus Christ is preached rather than Karl Marx or Xi Jinping through contacts with believers abroad. Thousands of Christians disapprove of Sinicization, Chinua explained, noting that people express their disapproval by leaving the Thesis of Church and joining alleged illegal house churches and even movements that the state has labeled as heretic. On the other hand, the conference indicated the major task for Thesis of Christians for the next few years. In the words of Pastor Khan, it is to transform the successful experience of the Sinicization of Christianity, which he explicitly presented as Christianity adapted to a socialist community. He believes this to be a great contribution made by Chinese Christianity to world Christianity. He went on to assert that the Thesis of Church will change the face of world Christianity. Moreover, Chinua explained that Sinicization does not mean adopting a Chinese style, language, and aesthetics. It means adopting the style, language, or ideology of the CCP. Peter Winters believes that the CCP leader and Chinese President Xi Jinping seeks to promote, quote, its brand of communism throughout the world, particularly in developing countries. That's all for this story. Stay tuned for our final story on this edition of the SWV News Watch. Our final story looks at a classical case of jumping from frying pan to fire. Several Christian media outlets brought attention to the unfair treatment meted against Danish evangelist Torben Søndergaard, who has now been in the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE jail for a full year. On June 30th last year, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, JTF, took Søndergaard into custody while he awaited a decision on a pending asylum application with the United States government. An ICE spokesperson told CBN News that Søndergaard was arrested for overstaying his visa. However, ICE did not charge him with gun smuggling, even though he was initially told this was the reason for his arrest. Søndergaard and his family fled Denmark in 2019, fearing persecution and arrest following a harassment campaign by the government and the media. They left for the U.S. with only what they could carry in 8 suitcases. With his immigration appeals process exhausted and facing deportation to Denmark at the time, his legal team asked the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals to grant a petitioner's motion for stay of removal, possibly freeing Søndergaard or ordering a new trial in the immigration courts. A decision from the court could come this July. Meanwhile, Søndergaard is now the longest-serving inmate currently at the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE Baker's County facility in Miscellany, Florida. In a phone interview, Søndergaard told CBN News that it's been really hard for his family. He noted that, quote, I'm almost at the point where I feel like every day is just to survive, but every day we see God's plan. But we are ready to move on. We are ready for this season to stop, end of quote. Søndergaard is the founder of the Last Reformation, a worldwide movement that seeks to return Christianity to the Book of Acts. He also began the Jesus Center in Denmark, which trained disciples from 30 nations to spread the message around the world. Attacks against his ministry in Denmark began in 2016 when the Jesus Center was investigated by 6 different Danish government agencies for everything from food safety to unpaid taxes. Officials found nothing wrong. The government then investigated his family when they began homeschooling. Danish TV infiltrated his ministry with undercover reporters for a documentary called God's Best Children, which, according to CBN News, lumped Sondergaard with other leaders of so-called radical Christian ministries who had serious moral or ethical failures or even criminal activity. Sondergaard told CBN News the documentary ruined his reputation in Denmark. However, upon his arrival in the United States in 2019, Sondergaard immediately applied for asylum and set up his residence in California while he grew his ministry. He received no word about his application until a letter from the Department of Homeland Security summoned him to a meeting in Orlando, Florida, on June 30th last year. At the meeting, Sondergaard says he was accused by ICE agents of smuggling weapons into the U.S. from Mexico, a claim he wholeheartedly denies. Then the Christian evangelist was placed in handcuffs. As an inmate, Sondergaard said he spends around 22 to 23 hours a day inside his cell. During his year behind bars, he said he has written 2 books. He told CBN News that God used the experience to humble him. In his words, and I quote, "God has used it to change me, but I want to encourage people at this time. I really believe God wants to do something special in America. He wants to do something beautiful." He asked believers to pray for the truth to be revealed and also pray for his family, saying, quote, "My wife is suffering more than I am. I dream about the day when I finally see my wife, Lena. That day I can go to her and give her a big hug and be with her and the girls, and we can stand together and cry and know that it's over." End of quote. And that will be all for tonight. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Until now, we hope to see you next time, Thursday, 9 p.m. Until then, I remain Chimla Chike. Stay hopeful, stay blessed.